Oh, now we're
There we go.
all right.
Super. Well, welcome to the Tuesday, March 16th or 16th, 2021 regular meeting of the Planning Commission for the City of Atascadero. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. Jason, would you mind giving us a pledge or leading us in the pledge, and everybody could mute themselves?
Not all. Right hand over your heart. And begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Haven't given that in a long time.
Thank you, Jason. Can we get a roll call, please? Annette?
Yes. Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Carranza?
Here.
Commissioner McIntyre?
We couldn't hear you, Jennifer.
Here.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson King?
Here.
Chairperson Van Den Eyck?
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I'll make that motion, please.
Dennis, any seconds?
Second.
Tori? Okay, Annette?
Okay. Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson King?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Carranza?
Yes.
Commissioner McIntyre?
Yes.
Chairperson Van Den Eyck?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Now we'll move into public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the commission on any matter not on this agenda and over which the commission has jurisdiction. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record before making your presentation. The commission may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Do we have anybody online that would like to?
I'm not seeing any hands raised. Just a reminder to the attendees, when you would like to speak during public comment, go ahead and use the raise hand function on the meeting, or if anyone happens to be joining by phone, press *9 and that will raise your hand. But I'm not seeing anyone right now.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move into the consent calendars. All items on the consent calendar.
Hold on, that's me. One second.
Hold on, that's me. One second. Hold on, that's me. One second. That's me. One second. That's me.
Whoops.
Did we get that resolved?
Ooh, no more echo.
Okay, I don't hear an echo.
Commission remix.
I think you have to mute one of them, Kelly.
All right, yeah.
I had to leave the audio on one of them. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, you had two open, huh? All right. So we'll move on.
Yeah,
to
I
the
got
consent.
two different computers.
We'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff and will be approved by one motion if no member of the commission or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Is there anybody that would like to comment on this? Or if not, if we can get a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Hey, Jason.
I'll
anybody
second.
want-
I'll
Jennifer?
second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Annette?
Yes. Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner McIntyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson King?
Yes.
Chairperson Van Den Eyck?
Yes,
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
thank you. Doesn't look like we have any planning commission business or community development staff reports. Is that right? Okay, then we'll move on to the public hearing. For each of the following items, the public will be given an opportunity to speak. After the staff report, the chair will open the public hearing and invite the applicant and applicant's representative to make any comments. Members of the public will be invited to provide testimony to the commission following the applicant. Speakers should state their name for the record and can address the commission for 3 minutes. After all public comments have been received, the public hearing will be closed and commission will discuss the item and take the appropriate actions. Do we have any ex parte for this item? Let me start with Dennis. Any ex parte?
No ex parte. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But I would like to announce that I live 1,300 feet from the property I live also on Santa Rosa Road, but I'm more near the elementary school towards the freeway.
Okay. Jason, any ex parte on this item?
Ex parte.
Okay. Let's see. Tori?
No ex parte.
Okay. Jennifer?
No ex parte.
And Victoria?
None.
Okay. I did see this item when it came through the previous time for planning commission, but other than that. So why don't we go ahead with the staff report for this item?
Yes, thank you. So this item is an amendment to a previously approved subdivision map. It was a tentative parcel map, and we're just looking to amend one of the conditions of approval for this map tonight. So a little bit of background, the parcel is located off of Santa Rosa Road, kind of just past Atascadero Avenue. It's in the single family residential Y zoning district. It's about 3.24 acres. So this is an aerial view of the parcel, and you can see that there are 2 existing lots, and the house towards the rear is on a very large parcel that extends quite a ways towards the back. So the original map subdivided that parcel into 2 additional vacant lots. And then there was a lot line adjustment between the 2 existing houses to create 4 total lots for the map. So the conditions called for improvement of the access way to those 2 lots to city road standards. The city actually secured an easement that goes all the way back on the property. Let me see if I can get you a picture. So the easement goes all the way back on the property, and it would allow for a future road connection if the zoning ever changed or if we needed that through road situation. And so basically, the applicant has gotten all of their things together for the final map. It hasn't yet recorded. They had a condition that they actually build out those road improvements prior to recordation of their final map. That's condition number 8. The Subdivision Map Act, as well as our municipal code, does allow for improvements associated with a parcel map to be deferred to the time of building permit. And the city engineer does believe that that is an appropriate time to build these road improvements. So we're proposing some modifications to condition number 8 in the public works section that would shift that approval and construction to building permit time of issuance. It would also require that they record some sort of covenant on the properties so that if those properties were to be sold before they're developed, any future owner would be aware of the improvement requirements associated with that property. So here's a picture I was looking for earlier. So this is the cul-de-sac and road that is required to be constructed as part of parcel 3 and 4 development. The public road easement does actually continue all the way along this property line to allow for a future connection, but will not be required to be constructed as part of this map. There is an existing access way that is partially within this dedicated right-of-way easement that serves all of these parcels here, kind of to the south of this project, as well as serves the existing house on parcel 2. So the road would basically overlay that easement and widen it to city road standards and place a cul-de-sac at this location here that meets fire department turnarounds. So staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution to make modifications to that condition number 8 to defer the road improvements to building permit. The Planning Commission always has some alternatives here. This one is a little bit unique because it is just an amendment to the condition, So the commission can make modifications to that condition of approval. You can also determine that more information is needed and refer back to staff and the applicant for that. You can also deny the amendment if you don't believe that deferral of the improvements is appropriate. The tentative map that's already approved would still stand, and so denial would not erase the subdivision, but rather would require the construction of those improvements prior to final map recordation. So I'm available if you have any questions, and I believe the applicant or his representative is also available.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Once that road is built to city standards, does it then become a city road that the city would be in charge of maintenance, or would that stay as part of like not a city road, like some of our other
So
roads?
it's usually offered, and we usually do not accept, but the offer remains in case we do need to accept in the future. So it is not anticipated that we would accept this road while it remains in its cul-de-sac state. If it were to go through sometime in the future and become part of a larger circulation pattern, then we might consider accepting for maintenance at that time.
So for now, it'll just be a public easement, but we won't maintain it. So it'll have to be privately maintained. It's really the long of the story, short of the story.
Okay, because I know that it seems like we sort of have a problem with that elsewhere in the city, where people buy a house and they don't realize that they don't live on a city maintained road, and then suddenly they have potholes and they're coming to the city to complain about it, and then they find out, oh, you don't even live on a city maintained road. So
Yep.
what are the implications of the city once it's built out to city standards? Like once it's a road with a cul-de-sac, what are the implications and the cost to like maintain that? Like, why wouldn't we want to do that?
Well, we actually have a road system that's probably 3 times the size of what we can currently maintain now. So right now, the current practice is to not accept any new roads unless they're part of a critical infrastructure that is shown on our circulation element that is part of something that we are going to pursue as a city to develop. But for private development like this, for a subdivision, for the construction of single family homes, the most common practice is for our city council not to accept any more of these for maintenance, because we already have far more than we can afford to accommodate in terms of maintenance. We have, the city of Atascadero has the largest road system of any city in the county and has the smallest road budget out of any city in the county. So if you can see those two variables that we have to juggle, it's just literally a fact of not being able to afford to do any more.
And so when the road does need maintenance, would it be something that all 4 parcels would have to participate in? Or
Yes,
like
that's
if parcel
right.
4 decided they needed an improvement, they could go to the other 3 parcels and say, hey, we all need to pitch in to fix this road.
Yeah, we would hope that in this situation, they would have an agreement, or they would have an association, they would have a mechanism to fund those improvements. A lot of times they don't. Is Nick on tonight by chance, Kelly, do you know, or Mariah, is Nick around that he can chime in on this as well?
Nick is not here, but he did say he might be able to be available if there are specific questions.
Okay, well, I think we have it for now. I was just curious if you wanted to chime in.
And I will say, and Jeff probably knows this well as an engineer, and Dennis as well, that roads are built to such a great standard nowadays that they're really not expected to decline, significantly in the near future. And then obviously, we offer asphalt at the fire station, to fill potholes and things like that. So we do try and make it easy for residents to be able to do those types of minor repairs.
Okay. This just felt like a really good chance to get all of those kinds of questions asked. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Dennis?
I was looking to see if there was a requirement for an HOA to be set up to maintain that road and drainage and other things that could be associated with it. Is that in the conditions of approval?
I don't believe on the original parcel map that was. Typically, these are sort of single family subdivisions, and then this is an offer of dedication, which is a little different than a private access easement. So generally, each property is required to maintain their frontage. And then there's that existing easement for all of the parcels, including parcels not associated with this map, that overlays about half of that road area that does have sort of a separate maintenance situation as well. So it's a little bit complicated in terms of maintenance, and it will probably stay slightly complicated in terms of maintenance. But this will be a public access dedication and will be considered road frontage. And so fronting parcels will have some maintenance responsibility for that.
So the improvements then essentially when we get building permits here in the city, there are frontage improvements often associated with the building permit. So that this improvement that we're talking about being pushed into the future then will occur with the building permits for each of the lots as they move forward.
Correct. So for parcel 3 or 4, whichever develops first,
Mhm.
the improvements will be triggered. If both of those parcels are built at the same time by the same person, then that's pretty easy. If one of those parcels is built independently and let's say, you know, sold to somebody different, they would be allowed to submit a reimbursement for half the cost, because that cost is the burden of development of parcels 3 and 4, and they will be required to split that cost.
Thank you. Is there, I did not look, is there a city standard for a gravel road? I mean, this is an awfully flat area. And so in terms of accessibility for emergency services, normally when we have, you know, steeper grades is when we have those other non-skid services. But on this, a gravel road would probably be adequate for emergency services. Do you know if we have a standard for gravel road section?
We do not currently have any standards that aren't paved roads. Having said that, we do have a couple of roads that are unpaved that have been that way a long time, but I don't know that we would be able to approve that with this project.
If there is a standard in the city public improvement drawings for a gravel standard, then that could be built if the standard already exists.
Right, but we don't have that standard. And I don't
There
think
is
that,
no standard.
yeah,
There is no standard for gravel road.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, Victoria?
Yeah, has parcel 4 reached out or been reached out to at all regarding the possible extension? Because I know it's not the city's job to per se matchmake, so to speak, but it just seems like this road may want to be extended since they're major users of it. So I was just wondering why it stops right in the beginning of parcel 3.
Sure. So, so this project was originally designed with just a shared driveway that was basically built to city standards, but remained a private shared driveway. In looking at the project at the time it moved forward, the city saw an opportunity to potentially connect to some adjacent roads as part of a master circulation in the future. A portion of this area is on sewer, and so it is potential that in the future we will increase density in this area as we move forward into the future and beyond to meet our housing goals. And so the city basically came to the applicant and said, you know, we see this opportunity, but it doesn't really make sense to build this now. So would you be amenable to providing an offer of dedication for some time in the future, but understanding that it's a very costly proposition to build a road all the way to the end if it's not going to connect in the more near future. And so they were willing to do the offer of dedication, but it was decided that they could limit the improvements to where the cul-de-sac ends, and then parcel 3 and parcel 4 would be served by a shared driveway. The driveway will potentially be in the easement area. There are also some existing trees located along the property line with the existing single-family homes that take access off of that easement that are very sort of old growth trees and important to that neighborhood. And so they really requested some minimal disturbance to that area until such a time where we really needed that through connection.
Also, Victoria, these are all under a single owner right now. They're being split, so.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification. I guess, yeah, I had driven down that road, and I guess I was looking at it as the houses that is north of the properties we're looking at. So yeah, my bad on that one. But then I also just want to know, because I know Nick's not here, but the road is supposed to be built to city standards, and stormwater does look like, not from this map, but it does look like it's going to be something that a road will significantly improve on, because it looks like the parcel 1, they're doing like big rocks and trying to mitigate the drainage of the water that's currently making a rut in the one side of the road. So just wanted to mention that to the commission.
Dennis?
Is there for the parcels that are to the southwest, or between the road or between the subdivision and the Tascadero Christian Home, do all those lots have access via a common easement shared with parcels 1, 2, 3, and 4, or future parcels 1, 2, and 3, and 4? Or is there a separate easement that is alongside of this offer to dedicate?
I believe that the easement overlays with this offer to dedicate, and I believe it was only a 10 or 12 foot wide easement, which was not sufficient to allow for proper access to the back. So this, Nick might know more. He might have the map in front of him. It potentially straddles the property line and then would extend the width of this easement potentially. But I believe a portion of it does overlay this easement.
Then with the city rejecting without prejudice the offer to dedicate, is there the easement that will be there, the private easement that will be there, is that going to be, are these lots, the lots on the other side, going to kind of be bootstrapped to that easement and then given rights to use that road too?
Yes, so as an offer of dedication, they will be given rights to use that road.
It's going to be rejected without prejudice by the city. So at that point, it kind of changes. And if the city accepts it, great. But if they don't, then it's mainly just an easement at that point.
Yeah, Nick, do you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so usually we reject it without prejudice to future acceptance. So it's kind of we're rejecting it for now, and then, but we're saving the opportunity to accept it sometime in the future.
But I was talking about the parcels to the southwest. If there is going to be, the thing is being rejected, so there's an easement there that's going to be used. Will the people on the other side be included in that easement so they can use that road legally in the future? Or the driveway, or however you want to classify it?
Yeah, like a public access easement, or maybe there's a shared driveway easement or agreement that can be made.
Just don't want them to be, sometimes loose ends are forgotten, and little things like that get forgotten about. What was the reasoning behind about going to the city public road? I'm a little bit kind of not concerned, but I'm just trying to figure out when it was a private driveway, if the owner wanted to, then it could have been a gravel road at that point, correct? If it was.
No, for serving multiple units, this one serves quite a few, I believe. Standard for driveways is a paved driveway. Any driveway that serves more than 4 units is considered a road, whether it's private or public. So it would still need to be built out as a road to serve as many units as it currently serves today.
But it's technically only serving 4, is it not?
Well, no, there's units
it
on both
serves the-
sides.
Oh, I understand that, but
So,
somehow then they're being kind of bootstrapped to it. So he has to put this AC in. If it wasn't, then he could.
yeah, yeah, definitely far more properties than we can serve with a driveway based on our subdivision regulations. So it has to be developed to a road standard.
Okay.
The other thing, Dennis, is that there's a sewer easement that goes through here. So we actually have a sewer main that runs through here that is a public sewer main that we maintain. So we need to get our sewer truck into those areas. So it DG doesn't always work. That's a big truck.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have the applicant? Do they want to make any comments?
See, it does look like Greg Aiello's on, so I'll let him speak now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, if you can hear me, I don't have much to say. I thought this was a pretty simple little change to our original agreement. But to note some of the comments that were just made regarding the lots on the left side of this subdivision, the existing homes further back. This is actually going to benefit, I think, most homes in that area. It's going to be a nice asphalt cul-de-sac going halfway back. It will alleviate a lot of those drainage issues that we heard commented on as well. At that cul-de-sac, the last 2 lots that are on the left side that aren't shown on the parcel map, they have a nice kind of private driveway going back to their residences, and it's tree lined, and this cul-de-sac will allow them to keep that driveway just as it is, and it'll give them legal right to that access through an existing easement that does overlay the roadway dedication. And then lot 4, it has a separate driveway easement that is going to be on the other side of that tree line. So that won't disturb the tree lines either, but it'll give lot 4 good access off of the cul-de-sac with its own private driveway. So in the long run, if this cul-de-sac does get built out and 2 homes get built back there, it will be a nice development. But yeah, as long as we're able to build it. I wish we could do it out of gravel, but it seems like asphalt's the only option we have right now. So hope you guys approve it. That's all I got.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you for commenting.
Okay, if none, do we have somebody who would like to make a motion?
Need to do public comment, and also I'd
Oh,
like to
yeah.
mention that we sent an email to you. I'll make
Oh,
sure you all
right.
got it in your email box
That's
that
right.
Kelly sent out and forwarded.
That's right. Kelly, do you want to address that item from the letter that was submitted?
Yes, I believe the concern was related to the size of units that could be placed on the properties. So this is within our single family zone, and we do not have any minimum or maximum size requirements for single family houses in our single family residential zone. Obviously, they need to meet some stormwater requirements, and so full pave out of the site does not become feasible at that point. But there are no size limitations, either minimum or maximum, in our single family zone. And then I believe we have one person from the public that has raised their hand and wishes to
I think
speak.
we're also wanting to, I think we're required to read this email, aren't we, into the record that we received?
Yes, we can do that. Let me see, Kelly, I don't have 2 screens like you do. Would you have a moment
Yes.
to read that?
Or I can do that as well, either
That'd
way.
be great, thanks. I didn't print it out because I just got it right before I logged on tonight, so.
I have it in front of me, Phil, or you can read it.
Oh, go ahead then.
Okay. The comment was from William Parente, and he said, "First, I want to say your notice is particularly unclear. The agenda item is not clearly identified, so one has to guess what it is, which is what I did. My comments have to do with your notice regarding a planning commission meeting being held today at 6 p.m. regarding a project at 8559 and 8565 Santa Rosa Road. My question is, what will be the allowable floor area ratios of the houses to be constructed? Or in simpler terms, how big will the buildings be? And that is his full comment.
Kelly, are there any maximum sizes? I mean, there's offsets from the property lines and stuff like that. Is there, for a single family, is there a maximum size that they could have?
We don't have maximum sizes. We have coverage maximums, we have setbacks, and we have heights. But
Okay.
within that box, within that parameter, you can
Right.
go as large as you want.
So the coverage, what about the coverage size?
We don't have like floor area ratios or coverage like other cities for single family. We just have setback areas that have to be maintained.
Okay.
So there's no ratio of open area to,
Not for single family properties.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, do we have comments?
Well, I just had a question regarding the process here, because it looks like the person that emailed that you read into the record is not on the call currently, from what I can see from the list of attendees. So how does that work? Does he email us and then we just read it into the record, or does staff
Yeah.
respond to it?
We don't have to respond. We do have to read it to the record. We do have to include that in the record. They're not required to attend the meeting, nor are we required to directly respond to that individual.
Is any commissioner able to respond to them?
I suppose you could on an individual basis, sure, after we take action on the item. If you care to reach out to that person, you can. I think once the decision is made, I would just caution you to how far you take that conversation. You can let them know of the action and let them know that they can also appeal this action within 14 days, things like that.
Being a new commissioner, I just wanted to overall be a good idea to ask about that process. Okay, thank you.
Looks like we have a public member of the public would like to comment. You can bring them on.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. I live just southwest of parcel 4. And I just want everybody to know there are 7 homes on this road. Some of the people in these homes have lived here for over 30 years. And I guess my question is, how come we weren't contacted by the city about this offer of dedication to possibly in the future extend the road or our easement to Portola? I was never contacted. And also I wanted to thank Greg for the offer to keep the trees, between his property and our property, just southwest for across from parcel 4. But will that remain in perpetuity, or could that be changed if the city decides to put the road through? And I want to also thank Mr. Schmidt for understanding our predicament here. And it sounds like you're kind of in tune with what's happening. Any ideas?
Any other, well, do you have any other comments? And we'll bring it back and have staff answer your questions.
I've got a lot of things, but that's the most important thing that I want to know is that offer of dedication going to change what Greg Aiello just offered, the parcels opposite 3 and 4. So what stands, Greg's offer or the city, are they gonna just eventually gonna put a road through? Because if that's the case, then my husband and I are gonna have to move, because we moved here to be at the end of this property, not to be sitting next to a road.
Would you guys like me to answer that, Chair Van Eyck?
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Rosemary, you might be happy to know that since it's only a 10-foot wide easement, that's along the other side of, along parcel 3 and 4. That's not enough to build a road. So the idea was that if your parcel and the parcel just to the south of you
Yeah,
were to subdivide or do something like that, at that point, we might ask for a 10-foot, easement to complete, maybe a wide enough easement to get a road through there. So I don't ever see that happening unless you decide, or somebody that buys your property and the property next to you decides to subdivide or want that road to go through.
well, we can't. We have an acre. Each of us have an acre. So as far as I know, we can't really subdivide.
Right.
I wouldn't be interested in doing that anyway. But so with that being said, then no chance of us having a road going through because the other person on the board, I forget their name, sorry, but she was talking about offer of dedication for the road to go through. And I'm not quite sure if I'm confused. Is that what she was talking about or?
Yeah, there's an offer of dedication of 10 feet and it's not wide enough to build a road.
Okay.
But so until you or your neighbor, some others back there want to participate, or maybe parcel 3 and 4 want to add 10 feet to it, we can't really fit a road
All right.
along.
That's good to know.
Thank you, Rosemary.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, well, any other, Dennis?
Just to clarify what Nick was saying, isn't within the public highways, state highway code that you need to have a minimum of 40 feet for a public road? And what you're saying is that there's 20 on one side, 10 on the other. The side with the 10 would have to add the 20 to move it to 20 for there to be a public road and down this line.
Yeah.
Yes, so it'd be, I think we'd need at least 30 feet to do that. So unless there's another 5 feet, usually we try to center that on property lines where possible, but you can hook the road or something else, but yeah. But
What
they
about
need
her
dedication.
question about the trees and the saving of the trees in perpetuity? Right now, for whatever reason, if something were to happen, then the trees that are within the offer area would be removed. If at whatever reason in the future something happens to create a road, or would there be more land taken from the subdivision side that we're talking about right now to save those trees?
So if something moved forward in the future, I think, we don't know, we can't guarantee what that would look like. And so for something to move forward in the future, such as the road extension, it would require something happening to one of those neighboring parcels. So a subdivision map or something like that, which would give notice to the neighborhood that something was happening. And then we would be able to sort of take public comment at that time and make sure that whatever we're doing is supported by the neighborhood or, is an appropriate action. So, yes, the trees are right along that easement. I believe that we did get additional easement on the applicant side of the property to try and ensure that those trees could be retained in the future if we wanted to design something with another subdivision map that would allow for a through road to happen. Of course, there's no guarantees because in the future, we don't know really what's going to happen with this neighborhood. But what we do know is that it would take an application, there would be public notice, and there would be neighborhood input on anything that happened in the future. It's not going to be a situation where the road gets built without that public process happening first.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public that would like to make a comment?
Seeing any other hands at this time?
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion for the planning commission to approve the draft resolution approving amendment 210018, an amendment to subdivision SBDV 18150, tentative map at 180-116 to allow revised conditions of approval.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Tori, a second. Annette, can we have a roll call on this item? Annette, you're muted.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Keen,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza,
Most definitely.
Commissioner McIntyre,
Yes.
Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your project going forward. Okay. I don't see any comments from the commissioners that, Dennis?
I'm collecting plastic baggies here from our paperwork coming in. Is that something that I can just bring the copies and drop them off at the counters at City Hall?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can do that.
Thank
That'd be
you.
great.
Okay. Yeah, I have a pile of those too. All right. Bill, do we have a director's report?
Yes, yes. I'll just let you know about the hearings that are coming up on 4/6. We will probably be bringing you our annual report on the general plan. Once a year we do this. What it is basically reporting back on last year's growth and development, primarily housing. So we'll let you know how many housing units were built in the calendar year of 2020. We'll also let you know about any significant projects that were developed that year and any general plan policy decisions that were made. We do that every year as part of our general plan update. We also report that same information to the city council, and then the state asks for that. That's how the state receives our housing numbers for our regional housing needs, basically our affordable housing numbers. So we have to report to them as well. So I'll probably bring you that information on 4/6. I don't know that we have anything else yelling for that agenda yet, but the following agenda is shaping up to be quite busy. 4/20. 4/20, we're probably going to bring you some amendments to the cannabis ordinance. It's fitting for the date. We also have the mini storage project that may be coming together. And we also have some amendments to our zoning regulations. Now, probably not going to bring all 3 of those items to you. Probably 2 of those items, depends what's ready by that particular time, but definitely a couple of those things will be going. We may postpone the cannabis amendments if both the other zoning amendments are ready and the mini storage project is ready. But if either one of those other projects aren't ready, we'll probably bring the cannabis amendments to you. And those amendments for that ordinance are simply an amendment that would essentially allow delivery services to operate in the city, which they currently are delivering in the city. They just have to operate from locations that are based outside the city. So this consideration, the city council has asked that we look at allowing those within the city so we can regulate and tax those things more readily. So we'll be looking at that, and that's a decision that ultimately would have to go to city council, just like the other zoning amendments. They'd have to go on to city council as well. So that's what's happening in our next 2 meetings. Let me know if you have any questions about development or projects around town or anything else.
Great, thank you. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting.
Jeff?
Yes.
I do have a question, just going back to the discussion we had before we approved the amendment to condition of approval tonight. So basically, I was curious a little bit more if Phil could talk about the fact that we don't have a gravel zoning anything. I'm not for or against that, but I just was curious if other cities around us do or why we don't, that kind of thing.
The county of San Luis Obispo, unincorporated areas might have a standard like that, I believe. So really, it's up to each agency how they want to adopt and develop their road standards. And that's part of our city engineering standards. And so as a city, we can choose to have whatever standards we like, as long as they meet basic fire protection standards and public health and safety standards. Typically, the reason we have paved roads, fire access, trash access, and drainage pretty much lead the charge for that reason. Especially when you have rural areas that have hillsides. If we had unpaved roads, we might have a lot of difficulty accessing these areas in an emergency, and with drainage and everything else, so it's problematic. So we chose many years ago to adopt standards that did not include gravel or unpaved road surfaces.
But if there were, in this particular case, if there were 4 or less parcels, then there could have been a private driveway that would have made, could have been built to a gravel standard.
That's right. For a driveway, there are sometimes flexible standards unless the slope is too much or unless there are other factors that we have to weigh in where we require a paved driveway. But most of the time we do actually require paved driveways. So actually asking for unpaved is a little bit of an exception. It's a little bit of a different criteria that we use in certain circumstances.
But it would, a gravel standard at 4% slope will meet emergency services non-skid requirements.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we'll go ahead and adjourn until our next meeting on April 6th. We'll
Thank
see
you,
all then.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Good night.